So we're joined by Zimbabwean author and economist John Roberson. Mr. Roberson, do you agree that these losses on the market today are a sign of investors feeling pretty good, actually?
I think the movements in the prices today are a sign of growing confidence and people feeling they should take their profits while they might, because the share prices are actually down now that there is some reason to feel confident that things might change for the better.
Is that confidence based on a real assessment of the possibility of what could happen to the post-Mugabe economy? We're looking at Emmerson Mnangagwa possibly coming in. Let's start there. What sort of track record does he have with business?
Well, that's a lot of separate questions. I do believe there are better prospects of a big improvement in the business climate, and I think that are going to introduce policies that are supportive of the investors and will improve considerably the levels of investor confidence. Now, that does happen. Many of the share prices might again start moving up in time to come because there will be better prospects of dividends, better prospects of actual growth and recapitalization of companies. But in the meantime, the people who have been buying the shares have been trying to find somewhere to store the value of the money they had some months ago, which appeared to be at risk because of policies that had been adopted that appeared likely to cause very, very high levels of inflation. So people were trying to buy things that might hold their value in time to come, and the share prices were, well, the shares were one of the things that were among the options. Other options might have been property, but the sellers of property wanted to move money out of the country. So a lot of separate pressures here. And then you brought in the prospects of the various personalities that might come into the scene performing better than the ones who were there before. Well, of course, there's a great many uncertainties in all those respects, and we are hopeful that things will be better, but there's no way of absolutely proving that they will be at this stage.
Emmerson Mnangagwa was a minister in Robert Mugabe's cabinet in various forms for years, so he is part of that administration. Do you think it's not misplaced, therefore, to hope that if he comes in as an interim president, things will be different?
There are good reasons to hope that will be the case. I think he has a better sense of the business requirements and the requirements of investors in general, and he has been supportive of a number of initiatives that have been taken recently where investment policies would have been, well, very much more successful if they had been less demanding from the investors, such as our indigenization policies. So I think that indigenization policies will be simply thrown out by a new government led by Mr. Mnangagwa. And that is one of the hopes, that we will see policy changes that are supportive of investors, whether they're local investors or new foreign investors. Right now, they would all argue that the policies are very discriminatory against investors, government constantly wanting to be in control of all new investments and demanding that shares be handed out to people who have not worked for those shares and will contribute nothing to the company. Now, those sorts of policies have no place in a future where you're trying to attract investors from all over the world to help the country recover lost ground and recover some degree of world technological competence in a very competitive world.
Mr. Roberson, finally, can you confirm what I've heard, that a lot of South African companies, maybe companies from all around the world, even in the very dark times, have tried to keep some semblance of operations in Zimbabwe, hoping that things will turn around and could really benefit if there are these changes because they've remained in the country?
I think there are many South Africans who would feel exactly that way. And there were many South Africans investigating the possibilities of investing in the country when we had come through that hyperinflation experience. And in 2009, we adopted the US dollar, and there were many thinking they could recapitalize Zimbabwean companies. and help to build their markets for South African goods in Zimbabwe through local manufacturing capacity. When the indigenization policy came out soon after that, the South African investors simply pulled out, and we had none of those proposed new recapitalization plans carried through. So that might start again, and we could get big capital injections. The country is in desperate need of liquid assets in the form of investments that could help to support new growth. And that's been one of the major handicaps we've faced since indigenization policies came in, because the investment flows simply came to a stop, and the liquidity that was in the country began to flow out of the country, with capital leaving the country because of that failing level of confidence. So that is what we hope will turn around now. The confidence, if it starts to build up, we'll see the investment inflows again, and the recapitalization of Zimbabwe is a possibility.
All right, thank you very much, Zimbabwean economist John Roberson.